Okay, if you're in the right headspace for this video, I'm very hopeful that it will be the spark plug for you to start taking what's in your hand a little bit more seriously, and maybe even cause you to take step one towards changing your relationship with it. If you're not in the right headspace, then save this video for later and come back to it. Genuinely not sure how long this is gonna go, so brace yourself. Everything that I'm about to share with you is grounded in my background in psychology, leadership studies, and a decades plus research journey in neuroscience, habit formation, addiction science, human evolution, and my own personal experience going from high screen time to low screen time. I say screen time, but frankly it was a phone addiction. And if you need more proof of my credibility talking about this stuff, I'm now a life coach who specializes in helping people transform their relationship with what's in your hand. And I've helped countless clients go from high screen time to low screen time and reclaim their attention, their agency, get better sleep, improve their connection, have less stress and anxiety. The list goes on, but overall just feeling like they've got better control of this device. And last thing before I fully get into it, I will say this again at the end, but if you're curious about the framework that I use with myself and with the clients that I now coach, just comment freedom and I will send you a DM with the framework. All right, so having gone really deep on this space, which is our relationship with our phone and honestly technology at large, what we first have to understand is all humans have these core components of our psychology and our brain chemistry that has been around since early humans existed. I call this our evolutionary hardwiring, which has existed for thousands of years because it helped our ancestors survive. I won't go through every single psychological concept that our phones trigger or interact with, but to give you an idea, these are things like novelty seeking or energy conservation or variable rewards, basically core drives that helped early humans survive. As an example, humans were foragers. Food discovery was often unpredictable. Like you didn't know where you were gonna find some berries or a gazelle. So sometimes you search for something, found nothing. Other times you would go out for a hunt and you'd get this huge reward. And so that unpredictability of when are we gonna get this reward created a strong reward learning system. This is what makes slot machines and gambling so compelling, because our brains don't know when we're going to get that reward. And this is very tied to dopamine, because a lot of people think of dopamine as pleasure and pain and the balance there, but a huge part of it is the amount of reward that we get relative to the predicted outcome. So it's like if we're not expecting to find 5 berry bushes and then we turn the corner and boom, there they are, that's a huge dopamine spike because the result exceeded what our expectation was. Trickle that into the phone and think of scrolling through Instagram or TikTok. You don't know when you're gonna get to that really funny video or the really insightful video. You might have to scroll through 10, 15, 20 different reels or TikToks before you get there. But when you do, it's a huge spike in your dopamine, and it is triggering the exact same mechanism that we had as early humans. So that's one of the reasons why staying on these is so compelling. It's the variable rewards. Or with novelty, we respond to new stimulus or surprising information in a more compelling way. That helped early humans detect predators, food sources, environment changes. Novelty and new information was power. So again, our reward system responds to novel stimulus. This is why a new format that you see on social media is really compelling and addicting. Our brains are just wired for it. Okay, last one, then I'll move on. Humans evolved in environments where energy was scarce. So our brains and bodies prefer lower friction, comfort, convenience, and kind of like the path of least resistance. And so this tendency makes highly frictionless digital platforms incredibly compelling because we don't have to expend that much energy, but we get some sort of reward. There's a bunch of others that I won't touch on, but social belonging and status, uncertainty avoidance, completion and closure. Really quickly, that's like open loops. So how you can keep scrolling and scrolling and there's no stopping cue or endpoint. Our brains hate when there's an open loop, and so we want to close it. It's like this unresolved tension. But every app is now designed with kind of this endless open loop. So you can start to see how all of this evolutionary hardwiring still exists in our brains, but it's getting taken advantage of by the Instagrams, the TikToks, the YouTubes, all of these different social media platforms, because how those companies grow and make money is through advertising spend and collecting our data. And so knowing that, the more time that we are spending on apps like this is money in their pocket. And so the implication is they are incentivized to make sure that you and me spend as long as possible on this app. Sorry to break it to you, but they do not care about how much attention and time they are stealing from you. That is the reality of what's happening. And so if we understand that we're kind of fighting multiple systems here, we've got our own brain chemistry and hardwiring that we're battling, because that's what's getting taken advantage of by these companies that have thousands of engineers behind them, trillions of dollars on the line in order to take your attention. Not to mention the collective forces at play, like social norms about posting on social media, or the responsiveness culture that we've kind of created ourselves. Like, oh, I need to get back to people immediately, and how that's trickled into the workplace as well. So when we understand all that, we realize we are battling multiple incredibly powerful systems. So to think that your willpower or my willpower is enough to overcome that and change our phone habits and spend less time on our phone is foolish. It's like bringing a squirt gun to fight a forest fire. Like, the smartest, most disciplined people in our world are using friction, guardrails, environment design in order to strike an intentional balance with their device. So if they're doing it, we're not special, we got to do it too. All right, and then the last thing that I'll talk about for why it's so hard to change our behavior. I think about this a lot. Why do we not do the things that we know are good for us? Most of us are aware of our phones being a problem. You might start to notice its impact on your focus, your attention, maybe your memory, like how many videos do I actually recall from what I watched while scrolling? Maybe it shows up in your anxiety or your social confidence or your relationships and how present you're able to be. Or maybe it's impacting your sleep. I hear that a lot from clients. We're starting to wake up to all of these health and life implications from how we're using our phones. Yet, so many of us struggle to change. Why is that? I think one of the main reasons that does not get talked about enough is if you imagine your brain is like a muscle, and we have different psychological muscles that are almost required in order to change our behavior. Those are the very muscles that are getting atrophied or weakened every time that we engage with our phone. As an example, most times that we're picking up our phone, it's to avoid boredom, an uncertain environment, some uncomfortable emotion. We're feeling stressed or anxious or awkward, and so we'll turn to our device to escape or numb that uncertain or uncomfortable feeling. And so from that lens, the very things that we need to be capable of psychologically in order to use our phone less, so embracing discomfort, feeling our feelings, being okay with uncertainty, those are the things that are getting eroded by our phones. We're not giving ourselves the space to lean into them. With that in mind, our phone has basically become this machine that is destroying the brain muscles that we need to change our behavior. It's like this self-reinforcing psychological cast that's on our brains. Think of when you've maybe broken a bone and you've got a cast on it, your muscles start to atrophy. Doesn't mean we lose the muscles, but a big part of changing our phone behavior and our relationship with it is rehabbing those mind muscles that have gotten weakened or atrophied. So in this sense, our phone is changing what we're capable of, like it's reducing some of these mental skills. The most pernicious part of that is it starts to change what we believe we're capable of. It's like these insidious little thoughts that start to pop into our head. We tell ourselves, I'm not going to look at my phone before bed tonight. And then you do. That reinforces the identity that I'm not someone who follows through. Or on the flip side, you might say, I'm the type of person who always stays informed and doesn't miss out and responds quickly. And so those narratives become embedded in our identity. So the phone's not just like reducing these psychological capacities, it's changing our beliefs and our identity in a way that makes it harder to then get out of that behavior. Identity is incredibly resistant to change. So it's not like you're just fighting these systemic forces, you're fighting a self-concept. To summarize all of what I just said in a nutshell, humans are effectively predisposed to using our phones more because of our hardwiring and our brain chemistry that's getting taken advantage of, these core parts of our human nature. And so it's kind of like we have to fight ourselves in order to save ourselves, which feels uncomfortable and hard because it is. So why am I sharing all this? It's to basically bring awareness to reality. Like, this is what's going on. This is why it's so hard to change, or why you feel stuck. That knowledge is power. Once you understand reality, you can start to change it. In understanding all of this, we can recognize that as we start to use our phones less, we will initially feel more discomfort because we've been using it to avoid discomfort. Having a clear purpose, a why for why you want to make this change, or the impact it will have on your life and future you, who you want to become, turns that discomfort that we will feel when we try to change from suffering into an investment. Like in the same way that people go to the gym, even though it's uncomfortable to go for long runs or lift heavy weights, because they've got a clear purpose behind why they're going. Maybe it's a health goal, maybe it's they want to lose a bunch of weight, or they just identify as someone who is healthy and takes care of their body. And then on top of that purpose, belief convinces us that that discomfort, that investment is worth making. So our ability to change our relationship with our phones depends on whether or not we've got a future or a purpose that is compelling enough to justify enduring the discomfort that's required to get there. Without that, it's going to be really hard to make progress or meaningfully change this part of your life. Ultimately, what's at stake here is not just your attention, your time, your potential in your health, career, relationships, spirituality. It's really protecting the psychological capacities that make us human, protecting our humanity. And these are the things that make us feel really connected with each other and make us feel alive. That's why I'm so passionate about this. That's why I care so much about spreading this word and helping as many people as possible, because we only get one life. And I think most of us want to live a deep, meaningful, highly connected, and loving experience in this one life. And so if you're someone who wants that, changing your relationship with what's in your hand is almost required in order to get there. Your life deserves your full attention. If you've made it this far, you can probably appreciate how deep this stuff goes. It's more than just screen time. It's our relationship with ourselves, with discomfort, with uncertainty, and it's battling all of these invisible forces. And so meaningful change is on the other side of addressing all of those deeply rooted things. Okay, I think I've been going for a while now, so I will end it there, but hopefully with some of this information, you now feel a bit more armed to tackle this yourself. Again, if you want to know the framework that I use myself to actually make this change, and it's the same one that I use with clients, repeatedly creating these transformations, just comment freedom and I will DM it to you. Hope this helps, and you've got this.